What's going on, Patriots? Welcome back to Patriot Specialized. Today's episode, we are hauling a Caterpillar 745 articulating dump truck. Picked it up in Baltimore, Maryland. It's going out to Eau Claire, Wisconsin. Stick around.
Right across these plains and prairies, Rocky Mountain highs, fade off into the distance like ghost riders in the sky. Black smoke and white line, steel horses side by side. It's more than just a living, y'all.
Wednesday morning. Today is Wednesday. And I just got a message from a buddy of mine that said today is the longest day of the year. So, I guess we're going to enjoy that. So, Wednesday morning on our way to Wisconsin, loaded in Baltimore yesterday. You're going to see that load here in a little bit. And made it to Lodi, Ohio last night out of Baltimore. Permit route was pretty interesting. I'm going to talk about that here in a minute. Once again, I'm going to jump out, get my pre-trip done. I already checked my fluids and all that junk. Got the truck started. Letting it do its cool down cycle. We're gonna go check the rest of this stuff. Little lights. Alright. Working. Securement on this beast. I could use a turn or two. Well, that was way more work than it needed to be. Flags are good. Middle chains are good. Ooh. Tire must be in a dip. Another one's a little bit loose. Flashy lights are working. New flags and sign. Told you on that last one, that sign had just about had it. It's getting ready to go, so replace that. Flags were kind of rough as well, so went ahead and replaced those two. Flags here. Hands all dirty. Look at that turn signal. Oh yeah, she blinking. seen anything to worry about. That's up here road.
Hell, it's our way of life. We're the last of the cowboys, the giddy up gone boys. 18 wheels on the concrete, it's a slow and dying breed, rolling like Jesse James, modern day outlaw game. If you're out here riding with me, come on back and make some noise. We're the last of the cowboys. It's a family tradition, diesel's running through our veins. Our daddy showed us the roads, we were born in the fast lane.
Watched my couple episodes ago, I was talking about some loads I had lined up, a wheel loader, and then possibly one out of Louisiana. That wheel loader was going to Georgia. All of that stuff just completely fell apart on me. The wheel loader, there was a government move, and they never got a PO from the government, so I'm not sure if it's going or what the story is with it, when it's going to go. But none of that worked out. So I ended up getting a hold of the last one I had my eyeballs on that I kept watching was this articulating dump truck. The only reason I didn't was because I didn't jump right on it, because it was a little bit on the heavy side, but it worked out real well, so no big deal. I don't know, I think I'm in Indiana somewhere right now. I'm on the west side of Indiana right now, and taking my break. Figured I'd jump out here and show you the load. So here we go. It's warm today. Warm out here today. Oh. A couple little goofy things about this load. Interesting stuff that we'll talk about here in a minute, but figured I'd show you the load, go over securement on it. It's pretty interesting. So here's our baby right there. She's a big one. So the agent I got the load from, he's telling me, I'm gonna set the camera down here. I want you to see how big this thing really is. It kind of doesn't really show on here, but I'm gonna set this down and walk over to it so you can see it compared to me. Now I wanted you to see how big this thing really is compared to me, so you get some idea how big these loads really are. You don't always get that. You don't always get the full sense of how big these things are until you're when it's just sitting on a trailer taking a picture. But with somebody standing or something next to it, you can kind of see how big it is. So this is a Caterpillar 745 articulating dump truck. It's a big girl. She weighs I think they told me the weight on this thing was 75,723 pounds. I'll put the scale ticket up and show you how it's scaled out. I ended up going ahead and just maxing my permit out because it's so close. I don't think it really mattered. So I went ahead and permitted for 11,000 on my steers, 49,000 on my drive tires, and 60,000 on my trailer. And I'll put the scale ticket up right now, and you can see. Just remember that 11, 49, and 60, and check this scale ticket out. We hit this one pretty much right on the head. So dimensions on it. They told me it's what did they say? 12 foot 4 inches or 12 foot 3 inches wide, 12 foot 4 inches tall, and 38 foot long. 38's accurate. It's actually down here at the bottom. It's actually 11 foot 4 inches wide. It's up here, and I'll bring you over here and show you that. It's up here on the arms on the bucket. That's where the extra width comes in and gives it that extra width. Oh. See that? You see that arm sticks out quite a bit further than the tire. That's what gives it the extra width and ends up making it over 12 foot. But works out pretty good because you're pretty low at the bottom, which gives you a lot of clearance when you're trying to, maneuver things and get around stuff and whatnot. So that's good. That's a good thing that the height or the width is down low or the up high, so you can avoid a lot of stuff down low. So securement on this thing. Here's the other side right here. I'll show you real quick. Did have to use my outrigger boards, and I think I think this is the last trip on these outrigger boards. I think we're gonna have to order some new ones. So at 75,720 some pounds, securement on this, we ended up having to have like 38,000 and some change on securement. So you do the math on that. My chain's rated at 6,500 pounds. We needed 6 chains to get 39,000 pounds worth of securement on the load. So basically, I had 6 chains out, got plenty more, but I had them out, and I just decided to make this work to where I ran these chains straight across the trailer all the way across. So then I only had to use the 6 chains. So this is what I did for securement. Right here in the front, I attached to the trailer here, came up through, tie down point, I went through it there, and then came down the other side of the trailer. Then same thing with this one, I came up through the tie down point on the bucket up there, right down to the trailer, so I get full credit for both those chains. My flags, again, this is one of the units that I talked about this one of the videos, where they had this little slit in the rim, and it fits your hook on your flags real good. They have one on both sides, so you can just put it down in. Makes it nice easy spot for those. What I did in the middle here, because I told you that these things you got to unbolt them and then put them on and then bolt them back together, and it just seems like it's more work than it's worth. So I threw a couple chains in the middle. This chain comes from this side of the trailer, goes all the way up through to the other side of the trailer, and then I did another one. This one's kind of pulling backwards a little bit, or forwards a little bit. This one's pulling backwards a little bit. Same thing, all the way across, so I get full credit for both of those chains as well. There's our flag on there. And on the back, I did the same thing. 2 chains, one pull in one direction, one pull in the other. Tied into the trailer here, came up through the tie down point, went all the way across, hooked to the trailer on that side, pulling forward. This one here, same thing. Up through, over to the other side, pulling backwards. That gives us our 6 chains, covers us for 39,000 pounds of securement. So we are good there. There's what it looks like from the back. A couple of interesting things about this. I'm going to talk about that here in a minute. I'm going to jump back in the truck and finish my break. Then I'll get on the road and I'll talk about it a little bit while I'm on the road. A couple of interesting things on the permits. Pennsylvania routed me right into a closed road. Ohio routed me right past a mall. So it was, routing on this has been a little bit of a challenge. So there you go. That's our load. That's our dump truck for today. We'll be delivering this thing tomorrow morning. Looks like I'm going to end up probably, I don't know, about an hour and a half to 2 hours out of delivery tonight when I get stopped. And we'll take it in, deliver it. They open at 7 o'clock, so take it in, deliver it in the morning. And I booked the load, which I'll talk about here in a little bit. I booked a kind of neat load for tomorrow. That's picking up in Wisconsin, going right back to Baltimore, going right back to the port. So we'll be picking that up tomorrow, and I'll talk about that as well here in a little bit. So talk to you guys soon. You know, you probably saw it in the video, but I wanted to show you something. When you got this much weight and you are pulling a trailer that's already pretty low to the ground, this is what it looks like when you're driving down the road. I'll go ahead, just so you have some comparison of how low that really is. That's my hand in there. Not really 100% sure why I just told you that was my hand. In case, you know, in case any of you don't understand what a hand looks like. There you go. There's that. Talk to y'all in a bit. All right. Break time is over. Let me get back on the road. We'll do my thing. Got some miles to cover. Hoping to be an hour and a half or so from delivery. I started talking about the permit issues on this load, and there was definitely a couple. The Pennsylvania had, well, Maryland had given me a goofy route that I've never seen before, which was odd. So that got me through a bunch of red lights, cost me probably 20 minutes of time running that route. And then Pennsylvania also had a goofy get off. Route 22, when I come up through, I generally I permit myself out of Baltimore up 83 to 22, or 83 to 581 to 81 to 22 to 322 up through State College and up to 80 across into Ohio. And normally you just get that route and there's no big deal. But yesterday, for whatever reason, they threw a little get off in there on Route 22 that had me get on to Route 333, and it was just about a 7-mile detour for something. And that, I got off 333 and went about a half a mile to where my next intersection was, and I got to that intersection, which I was supposed to be on that road for 3 miles, 3.3 miles it said. And when I got to that intersection, there was a road closed sign for 2 miles ahead. So it wasn't about totally surprised to me. Like, you don't usually run into that with states. They don't route you into closed roads, but didn't really have a choice. I went back up to Route 22 and had to come up 22. And that ended up working, and I'm not sure why they sent me that way right into a road closed, but you know, it is what it is. Sometimes these things happen. I'm not sure what happened there, but we got it handled and got around it. And then last night I came into Ohio, and Ohio had me routed right past a mall, right through downtown Warren, and through some pretty... I wanted to get as far as I could in Ohio last night because all the scales were closed. And not that I'm overly concerned about the scales, because I really wasn't, but Ohio's funny. Like, you don't just avoid that if you can. And both the scales, the Hubbard and the Lodi scales, were both closed when I was coming into town. So I took advantage of that and ran and got over past the second scale, the Lodi, and ended up parking there for the night. So this load is, like we said, I said earlier on the video, it's 12 foot 3 inches wide at the top part, 11 foot 4 inches wide at the bottom, and then the load itself is 12 foot 3 inches tall. And I measured out at, you saw in the video, I measured when I loaded this thing, was taking my measurements, the height, and I measured it out at 13 foot 11 inches. So right on my permit, right where I should be, and we are rolling right along here. I was hoping that I would be able to make delivery on this thing today before they close, but that's just not going to be the case. I put my permit route in the GPS last night. When I stopped at Lodi, I was still showing just a legal route. Just, you know, I put the address in, and it was taking me wherever it takes me. And that had me getting on the turnpike in Ohio, which would have been a considerable amount faster. So I sat there for a couple minutes last night, put the whole entire permit route into my GPS, and it ended up being, it added about 2 hours to it. So it took me from about 10 hours and 35 minutes up to about 12 hours and 35 minutes to get there. So it looks like I'm going to be about an hour and a half short today from getting the delivery, but that's all right. It is what it is. Like, no big deal. Daylight tomorrow is pretty early, so I should be able to get there not too long after they open, get this thing kicked off. And then I told you in the last part of the video, last little segment there, that I booked an interesting load for tomorrow, one I've never hauled before. This is it's coming out of a place that builds airport products, and this happens to be a airport fire truck. I believe it's one of the fire trucks that has the foam nozzle on top and it sprays foam whenever there's an airplane crash. So I believe that's what it is. Never hauled one before. It should be interesting. Dimensions were a little tricky. That thing's pretty big. It's 11 foot wide. It's supposed to be 40 foot long. We're going to see if we can cram it into a 29 foot well. I think we can. I think it's basically the same chassis as the articulating dump truck I have on right now. So it's going to go on very similar to the way this thing is. Pull it on, have the front nose and cab overhang the back deck, and then get it as far up there as you can, then lock the neck back in. I think it's going to be very similar to what I got on right now. 43,000 pounds, not very heavy. That'll be nice for once. We're 11 foot wide on that one, and then they're saying that it's 13 foot 2 inches tall on the ground. So 13 foot 2 inches tall had me a little concerned. You do the math on that at an 18-inch deck height, that's going to put me 13.2, 14.2, 14.8. Escort requirements in all of these states that it's going on would be 14.6. So it would require me to have a pole car if it was really 13.2. So I did a little research. I found these units online. I found some other drivers that hauled them. I talked to them, and they aren't really that tall. So I went ahead and ordered our Wisconsin permit for 14 foot 5 inches, which keeps me under the permit or the escort requirement, which is what all these guys are telling me. If I permit at 14.5, I'll be fine. So we're going to see what happens. All we did was order the Wisconsin permit. This is a smart choice, something you need to think about when you're ordering these permits. We just ordered the first permit, and then once I get there, get it on a trailer, I'm gonna lock back, before I even secure it or anything, I'm gonna lock back in my trailer, get my air lifted up, get everything sitting like it's gonna go down the road, and take a measurement and get the measurements to my permit people so that we get the rest of the permits ordered off of the actual dimensions that, on our unit. So looking pretty good. I got some pictures of it. I think I'm going to be able to squeeze it in, no problem. I don't know what well size the guy had that I got the pictures of. I can't tell by the pictures, so I think he's at least, he's not a stretch, and he's not stretched open, so it's at the very most it's a 29 foot well, which is what I have. So the type of trailer he's got, they don't make anything bigger than a 29 well, so we'll see how that goes. I'm paying pretty good. I talked to them, told them, we're probably going to need escorts and everything at the height you're telling me, and that brought the number up quite a bit. I was able to bring them up on the number and get us in the neighborhood of $7.5, $8 a mile on that one. So pretty good load. I'll take it. Looks like it, and I'll just load that tomorrow as soon as I get there. Where it's picking up from is roughly 160 miles from where I'm delivering, so a couple hours over there, 2.5 hours probably after I get empty. Hopefully I'll be empty by 7:30, 8 o'clock. I can be up there by 10:30ish at the latest, and get that thing put on and start heading toward the house. So I'll run as much off it tomorrow as I can, and run the rest off on Friday, get to the house, and then we'll deliver that on Monday. And obviously, the Port of Baltimore is a pretty hot spot for me, so I'm sure I'll deliver that. I'm thinking it's probably going to go to Shed 12, I would think, and I'll be able to reload right there close, so maybe even at Shed 12. So should be a good route. Works out pretty good. The overall, the week's looking pretty good for just doing 2 loads and getting these things delivered. So I am going to put some pictures of the permits up. I want you guys to see what that routing looks like. There was some horrific routing on these. It was just absolutely crazy. Illinois, which I'm not in yet, about to cross into Illinois here in a little bit, and man, Illinois got just as many routes as Ohio did. It's kind of brutal. So I'll put those pictures up so you can see what that routing looks like. And man, it was interesting coming through Ohio, and it looks like it's going to be just as bad in Illinois. So hopefully it doesn't drag me down any longer than it already has. Obviously I put the route in my GPS, so it should be accurate, but we'll see what happens. Things that I wanted to talk about on this that I'm gonna jump off here now, and I will come back on here in a little bit, and we'll talk about those things. Talk to you soon.
Branded by our heroes, taught to saddle up and move. We keep this country rolling. We're damn proud of what we do. We're the last of the cowboys, the giddy-up gone boys. 18 wheels on the concrete, it's a slow and dying breed. Rolling like Jesse James, modern day outlaw gang. If you're out here riding with me, come on back and make some noise. We're the last of the cowboys. time generation. A little old school salvation. Blazing trails across this nation, sea to shining sea. We're the last, we're the last, we're the last of the cowboys. We're the last of the cowboys. We're the last of the cowboys. The giddy up go boys. 18.
All right, Port of Baltimore. I loaded up. This has been pretty interesting today. This has been they were closed yesterday, so it's been a complete disaster today. Real busy, but got loaded, all secured down. Gonna go ahead and get some measurements real quick so we can get out of here, and then somewhere on the road I'll stop and go and cover the load itself. But I don't want to do it right here. There's people and trucks, forklifts, and everything everywhere. So I just want to get this done and get out of here. So here we go, the measurements. Make sure we're good.
It's slowing down and breathe, rolling like Jesse James, a modern day outlaw game. If you're out here riding with me, come on back and make some noise. We're the last of the cowboys. Modern day outlaw game. We're the last of the cowboys. We're the last of the cowboys. Saddle up, boys.
Alright, measurements came out good. 1310.5 on height. We permitted at 12'2". The tires are actually the lower portion that traffic has to worry about is actually like 11'6". And then there's the right up top there's that bracing for the bucket, the outside arm for the bucket that sticks out a little bit more on each side. So very hard to get measurement on, but I got it and it's all good. So I'm gonna get on out of here now. Get out of this humidity for a couple days, I hope.